On Sunday night, while I was at home on the couch with my daughter, a small group of criminals was attempting to rob one of my favorite spots in D.C., Busboys Poets. 3 men armed with guns walked into Busboys on K Street around closing time and demanded money. Thankfully, none of the employees were hurt. And in the end, they actually got nothing, which honestly isn't surprising. I'm no expert, but I would guess that since restaurants are largely cashless nowadays, they really wouldn't be good targets for this kind of activity. I'm guessing these 3 must have been absent that day this was covered in robbery school. But this should be the end of the story. Nothing taken, no one hurt, all's well that ends well. However, on Monday, several websites, including Yahoo News, among others, reported on the incident, changing it from local news into national. Now, why would they do this? Well, as I was reading, it struck me the main focus of the reporting seemed to be the fact that Busboys founder and CEO Andy Shalal has in the past called for the defunding of police and abolishment of prison. In fact, here's a tweet he posted in June of 2020, which reads in part, "You cannot reform a broken system, you have to dismantle it and start over." Next is abolishing prisons, hashtag defund police, hashtag Black Lives Matter. Now, if you remember, that was the summer of George Floyd, and it felt like everyone in the country was advocating for some form of police reform, which is what the defund police movement is about, shifting resources from one area to another in an effort to improve the entire system. Shalal himself said when interviewed, quote, "When we talk about defunding the police, just to be clear, it is to divert some of the funds that go to the police to services that make it easier for the police to do their jobs. Improve the system." It's really not a hard concept to grasp. If, in fact, the goal is to grasp it and decide honestly if it makes society better, or if any change to the status quo you oppose outright to maintain your grip on power. Shalal further says in an interview with Fox News Digital that he's not against police. He speaks to them all the time, and they're forced to deal with things they shouldn't have to, like homelessness and people dealing with mental health issues. Now, it wasn't long ago, a mass of citizens were for these kinds of reforms, right up until union heads and political leaders started twisting the message, turning it into a call for the abolition of police, which it's not. That also came with a feeling that those who call for reforms don't deserve police assistance, that since you want to defund the police, then they shouldn't do their job for you. And if crime touches you, well, that's just too bad. Which, by the way, is a fascinating thought, the idea of police selectively deciding when and how well to do their jobs. Since you guys brought it up, I would love to discuss it further at a later time. But today I address those people calling for police reforms who, by and large, still want the police to exist. They just want effective policing within their communities and the greater society, a communal relationship, not adversarial. Sadly, this is something that we're lacking right now. And look no further than the response to the very idea of how we can build a better society for all citizens to find out why.